Hey guys, I'm Tyler and welcome back to another Learn the Logic series video, a series where I talk about something that I built and why I built it that way. Today, we're going to talk about my assembly/outfeed table. Before we get into it, I do want to let you guys know that if you look in the description down below, there is a link to my website, which you can find some downloadable plans. Originally, I did not want to put out plans for this workbench because I didn't want to encroach on Paulks Workbench, which the top of this is modeled after slightly. Link to his video in the description down below as well. I've gotten so many requests for plans for this, probably at least once a day for months and months, that I've decided just to put them on the website to save me the hassle of responding to all your guys' emails and sending the same plans out over and over again. Your emails are still welcome, but this will just save me a little bit of time. So right down into the Learn the Logic series questions, which if you guys have any that you would like to add to this, hit me up in the comments down below so I know to ask them in the future series videos. First question, what problem did I solve by building this outfeed/assembly table? I'm not sure how long you guys have been here, but I had a 3/8 piece of plywood on sawhorses here for the longest time. And I do remember when I built this the first time I actually did a project on it, it was such a great feeling having a solid surface, something that's flat, something that's square. Such a pleasure to have in the shop. And there's nothing like that feeling of pushing a full sheet of plywood off your table saw and not having to struggle with it. On this, it just slides right off, doesn't try to fall down once you get off the back of the table. It's just so awesome. Like a lot of projects in the shop, I wish that I had done this such a long time ago because it's just so great to have. It makes it so much more fun to be down here. So yeah, the old table was not flat, ugly as sin. It would bounce if you tried to hammer anything on the table. It was just absolutely terrible. Did any issues arise from building this? No. The only topic of hot controversy is whether I want to drill the holes in the top of the table to clamp. You can see over here that I do have some holes. I only drilled them in maybe that quarter of the table. There is a time when those are very useful, but I'm very glad that I did not put them in all of the table. I use them so rarely, and I do such small items on this workstation as well, because it is an assembly table, not just an outfeed table or a glue up table, that I think I would lose small items through them all the time. And again, I just don't use them enough to actually be worthwhile. So no issues arose from that, but the big hot controversy from that is kind of funny to see how people are so polarized on it. And I've had people tell me that if I put it in, I'd absolutely love it. But at this point in time, I don't see the need, and I'm good with as it is. The only other issue that kind of arose is sometimes when I use my sleds on the table saw, I do have the miters cut into this tabletop, but if anything shifts a little bit, I run into clearance issues with the sled runners. Not a big issue, it's just a quick bump to the table saw one way or the other. Maybe if I would have just made them a little bit wider and never would have run into that issue, that would have been a quick solution right there. Cost of materials for this build. It's been a little while, but based off the cut sheets and the plans, I would say this was about $300 to build, give or take a little bit if you have some scrap 2x6s, maybe some scrap pieces of plywood laying around in the shop. And this is not made out of cabinet grade plywood. This is just your typical sheet of plywood that you can get for like 30, 35 bucks at your home centers. And this same top has been on here since I built the thing. It's held up great, still looks pretty darn good. I use this thing almost every day as well. But even if you do have to spend that full $300, totally worth it. Like I said, this thing's awesome to have in the shop. One question I do get quite a bit is if I actually use the tool cubbies under here, and I do. I keep my cordless rigid nailer in here all the time. This is its home. I don't put it up on my modular nail gun storage, which is over here, because it's a little bit big and bulky to put up on there. It just fits great right there, and it's easy to access. I got some clamps in the corner, and then my brush to sweep everything off here. And then as I'm building, I will shove some random tools under there if I need more workspace. The only problem is then you're kind of looking down through each one to try to see where you put the tool, and you sometimes lose them under there for a little bit. How did I build this table? It's a pretty simple build. Butt joints, wood glue screws. There's some pocket holes in the top here, but you do need a substantial router if you cut these out using a template and a pattern following router bit, which I did. So you need a pretty heavy duty router, or you can just cut it with a jigsaw. That'll work just as well too. Some important dimensions on this table. The table height, I currently have it at 34 1/8 tall, so that's just a little bit lower than my table, but I do have adjustable feet on here, so that is totally adjustable, and you might want to vary that depending on the height of your table saw. I'm pretty sure those are usually kind of standard, but it could be different. So you can adjust the legs to hit the tabletop of your table saw. And you have some adjustment in those leveling feet that I got in there as well. The table is 72 inches long and a full 48 inches wide. And that gives you about 7.5 feet to the middle of your blade on a contractor style table saw. So you get like 6-7 inches of overhang when you cut a full 8-foot sheet of plywood. Why didn't I want a full 8-foot Outfeed table? That'd be awesome. I simply don't have the room. And quite frankly, the 6-footer works perfectly fine for me. The base of this table is 61.5 inches wide and 48 inches deep. Wide, deep, whatever. Just remember which way you're measuring from. And the reason is that gives you a 10.5 inch overhang for the motor of a contractor table saw to tip up in the cavity of the opening. And that's what you need to do for a contractor saw because the motor hangs out the back. And this table was specifically designed for my situation, which has a contractor table saw, not a cabinet saw. If you had a cabinet saw, you can make the base the full width length of the table and give yourself a little bit more drawer space. Which, speaking of drawers, I got 4 drawers in here. 2 are very deep and 2 are shallow. I got them on full extension drawer slides, I think 24 inches. And this is basically my measuring drawer, all set in Kaizen foam. So I can basically reach down here and grab things blind, which is really cool if I'm doing something important on the tabletop and I can't take my eye off it. So that's my measuring. And this is my drawer full of sanders that I have down here. Got my cordless oscillating spindle sander, cordless belt sander, corded belt sander, and then I got some other corded sanders down there as well. No sandpaper. This is just sanders. I do keep different grits on the different sanders. Like the sheet sander I usually have like 120, then maybe 150 on the corded orbital, or I'll keep both of those at 220. I use the corded for longer, like stationary sanding, and the cordless is great when I need to run around. But we're getting totally off topic there. Then sliding over to the other deep drawer, this is like my typical tools that I grab and go with real quick. Just the typical stuff that you would use at the assembly table. My other bigger cordless power tools are over in the deep miter saw station drawer. Don't use those very much. Then my other shallow drawer is, again, just tools that you grab and go here. Chisels, files, flat cut saw, different screwdrivers, a bunch of different marking devices, hammer, punch, card scrapers, good old stuff like that. Right there where I need it, right away, don't even have to take my eyes off of the object that I'm working on. Awesome. Would I build this again? Absolutely, without question. Like I said before, I wish I did it sooner. It would have made a lot of projects so much easier to build having a nice, sturdy table like this. If I was to do it again, would I change anything? Talked about that a little bit already. I don't think I would put the holes in the quarter that I did, and I would make the miter slots wider, or I would make the entire table a little bit lower, eliminating the need for miter slots at all. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Learn the Logic. If there's any questions that you would like to know about this table or that I should add to the Learn the Logic series questions, leave them in the comments down below. Hammer that thumbs up button if you enjoyed it. Hit that subscribe button right over there so you never miss when I upload a new video. I'm DIYTyler. You guys have a good one.